What do we want to get to? Do we want to talk about gay stuff? Of course we want to talk about gay stuff. It's Pride Month. I tried to do as much gay stuff as I could over the weekend. I had a great show in Beaumont. About 750 of our closest friends showed up. It was phenomenal. And we're on to the next. Hope everybody's looking forward to good, 4th of July. Next week's schedule, let me just tell you, we'll have a show on Monday, the 3rd. We'll take the 4th off, and then we'll be back the 5th and the 6th. So it'll be Monday, Wednesday, Thursday, and we'll get it all done. Anyway, lots of stuff going on. I don't even want to get into this. That's why I'm sort of delaying, but we have to. We started a new segment, and I think we've got the graphic for it now. It's called The Gayest Shit You've Ever Seen. Play the clip. There it is. The gayest you've ever seen. Pow! Right there. Just a shit splattering of rainbow.
It's beautiful.
It's a beautiful little graphic.
It feels a little like cheating to do it this month because every day is the gayest shit you've ever seen. Yeah. But why not?
Well, Rachel Levine, in the Biden administration, said, Admiral Rachel Levine, Miss right. Admiral Rachel Levine, let's not forget, has declared that the whole summer is the summer of Pride. The whole summer of Pride. Now, I want to play this clip. You've seen it, but I want to make some commentary on this because I want you to think critically about some of this stuff that we're seeing here that's going on. First thing I want to do in this segment, gay shit you've ever seen, and stuff that you're just really not surprised by at this point. Play clip number 1. There you go. Yeah, so I like to call that the March of the Rainbow Triglycerides right there. They love to expose their breasts, but they're never breasts you want to see. It's just like the dudes dressing up in drag, not sexy. Like you have been abused on the playground your entire life, and now you want to put on a skirt and makeup. It's disgusting. And then, of course, what they were saying was, we're here, we're queer, we're coming for your children. I called it out on social media. Many other influencers did. And of course, what's the response you're going to get? They're kidding. They're just kidding. That's the way you get away with everything these days. You say the quiet parts out loud, then you get away by saying, we were only joking. Play clip number 19. Here we go.
And there was a couple of those paintings of her. And
that's 18. Play clip 19. That's other gay shit. The March of the Triglycerides. All right, that's enough. Now, there's numerous other pictures out there. I don't know if you pulled them or not, Brandon, but there was the guy wearing the Not Today Jesus shirt with the goat's head with the pentagram on there, and then there was the Satan March, there's that guy right there. Not Today, Jesus. So they're completely. I mean, it's not just let's normalize a homosexual lifestyle. Now we have to celebrate Satan, and we have to totally show you where. And again, they're just joking. They're just joking. I know. Now again, these were people who want equality, and now they are really pushing the envelope. As I said 20 years ago, and continue to say today, they're not after equality. They're after control. They want control. True of the feminist movement as well, true of the BLM movement as well. These people who, when they begin to take up activism, you realize they don't represent, for instance, the feminism movement, the third wave feminists, whatever you want to call it, did not represent women. They did not represent women, absolutely not. The BLM movement did not represent the black community, and the LGBT, My Name is Legion Mafia is not representing the gay community either. These are activists. These are activists that, are trying to get more and more control. So I want you to imagine with me, because I know what you're saying. You say, if you have an honest conversation with somebody who says to you that this is all BS, when you say, well, it's all BS when you say they're coming after your children. That is not true. They are not coming after your children. You play that first clip we played for you. If we play that and they say, we're here, we're queer, we're coming for your children, and say, okay, now how do you respond to that? They say, oh, no, they're just joking. All right, you're suddenly not having a serious conversation anymore. Because critically thinking requires someone to honestly respond to what motivates that group of people to decide on that chant. Now, you say I'm grasping for straws here. No, I'm not. They're literally saying this out loud. We've seen numerous examples. As many have said to me, you can't point to any indicator or example where the LGBT whatever is coming after children, and I consistently point it out, and then you try to turn a blind eye to that and try to justify it. Well, you can't justify this anymore. You can't justify this anymore. Now, I understand to some degree what it's like to struggle with your identity, and you want the world to know who you are, but you're afraid of being ostracized. Let's take it back to, let's say, the 1940s, 1950s, 1960s, yay, even the 70s and early 80s. Let's take it back and let's say a guy and a gal get frisky out at Lover's Lane in the back seat of a car, and 6 weeks later it turns out that teenage girl is pregnant, okay? Well, the social mores of the day in America used to say, "Whoa, they got to get married. That's a shotgun wedding. They got to get married. They got to cover their shame. They need to get married. They need to hurry up and do this thing before she starts showing, because it's shameful to think that this girl got pregnant out of wedlock." Now you move it forward to today, and girls get pregnant all the time. And you know what they do? They choose, one, not to get married, and they choose to keep the baby. That's at least half of that is a beautiful trend, that at least whenever they have that oops, which I don't think that any baby is an oops. I believe we're all fearfully and wonderfully made. I don't believe we're any of us here by accident. But at least they're choosing to keep their baby, even if out of wedlock. They're choosing to do that over abortion. We've seen that trend happen quite extensively, more and more over the last, I'd say, 10 years. But it used to be taboo. It used to be taboo. You didn't want to have a baby out of wedlock, and there was this shame, and you were worried about it. So, okay, so now there's other things that people have been ashamed of, or they're worried about being ostracized or considered an anomaly to society or taboo. One of those would be, quote, coming out of the closet. All right? I'm scared of what my family's going to think. Are they going to disown me? And listen, in certain days and ages in this country, there may have been a value system in place whereby people were ostracized, or they caught shame, or were kicked out of their homes, or their families disowned them, or whatever. There's those horror stories that are out there. They do exist. There's horror stories. With anything you want to come up with, there's always a horror story. There's a worst case scenario. But by and large, when someone comes out and says, hey, I'm gay, these days, we don't care. Most of us weren't surprised. We weren't shocked. Like when the lead singer for Greta Van Fleet came out this past week, it says, hey, I've been in a same-sex relationship for the last 8 years. We're like, no shit. Really? I mean, we're not blown away. If you don't know who the lead singer of Greta Van Fleet is, you can look up Greta Van Fleet, and you'll go, oh, yeah, that queer. You knew. You recognize him, and you knew. And so, now the interesting thing about the lead singer, and I can't even think of his name, I don't know his name, off of Greta Van Fleet, was he said, because, and the reason he came out, this is a side note for you guys, if we're thinking critically, side note is, he said he was coming out, felt responsible to share that with the public because he lives in Tennessee, and Tennessee's anti-LGBTQ legislation is making it hard for the gay community to function in civil society. And I'm paraphrasing. The actual Tennessee legislation just says you can't go out and do strip teases or drag shows or storybook hour in front of children. It doesn't mean you can't get married, doesn't mean you can't share insurance. They literally, gays lost zero rights in Tennessee except for their ability to swing their junk in front of children. Now, that tells me that the lead singer for Greta Van Fleet is making a weird stretch here to say the rights of the LGBTQ community should include swinging your junk in front of children. Why do you equate those two? It's weird to me that the gay community is doing that. Well, it kind of tells me that maybe something else is going on. And plus, you're 27 years old, which means if you've been in the singer for Greta Van Fleet is 27. If you've been in an 8-year relationship with a same-sex person, that means you were 19 when you started it. And I might want to ask the question, how old was your partner? If you were 19, maybe he was 17, 16, I don't know. What are you hiding? See, my speculator goes off because I'm like, well, let's do the math here because you were just barely legal yourself. But I digress. So you want to come out of the closet, nobody cares. Nobody cares. Until you start saying, we're here, we're queer, and we're coming for your children. Now, this is no longer a society in which you have to fear a certain amount of shame for being who you want to be. Until you start parading around with your buddies saying, we're here, we're queer, and we're coming for your children. Then you're going to have guys like me and a lot of Americans out there who are pushing back saying, no, we're not going to put up with that shit anymore. And if Bud Light represents that or Target shopping center or department store represents that, then we're going to ban all of that too. Because, again, you guys have pushed too hard. In the name of being accepted, in the name of being, normalized or whatever, it's the activists among you, the most vocal ones who have taken to the street with their parade of insanity and just absolute confusion, have come out there and they've marginalized you again. They've marginalized you again. So I had a guy on Instagram who posted under one of my comments and said, I'm ashamed of the gay community, and as a gay man myself, I feel like everybody now hates me, and I've been painted into a corner. I responded, I said, I don't hate you. Nobody I know hates you, but it is up to you to police your own community. I hate that phrase because it in many ways legitimizes a community that doesn't need to be recognized. Because the activist side of that, just like BLM, just like third wave feminists, the Me Too hat, vagina hat wearing people out in the street who didn't give a shit about real women. If they did, they wouldn't have given Woman of the Year to Bruce Jenner. Those same people out there who don't really give a shit about the people and the causes that they claim to care about, those are the ones who need to be held accountable. They're not a legitimate community, so I hate even saying that phrase. But you know who's going to save the urban community? Black males. You know who's going to save people from the feminist organizations that are out there? Real women, not somebody parading as a woman. You know who's going to save anybody? These people who because again, you want to call it civil rights, whatever you want to call it, but all the rights you've gained as a homosexual, and again, those are your terms, the rights you've gained. I don't know what rights you think you don't have. The only person who's going to save you from that is when you decide to call that little group of morons into check. It's the only ones. It's the only ones. I love what my buddy Conservative Ant is doing. I love what Gays Against Groomers are doing. I love what Ariel Scarcella has to say. These are all my friends. I love what Blair White, who is a biological male, has had to say on the issue. And I at least respect the people who are coming out with some common sense and saying, hey, this is our issue. We're going to call it out, and we're going to be critical thinkers about this, okay? But as long as you're sitting there saying, we're here, we're queer, and we're coming for your children, we're going to say, here's my address, and I have a Smith & Wesson. And I'm sorry, that's going to be the only response you get.